Yeah, 6 principles. And principle number 5 is storytelling is every person's access to creativity. And what I love about that is how democratic that is, because if you believe, and I do believe, I know that everybody has a story and everybody can learn to tell their story, then the taking of your story, which is the taking of your memory, the facts, the data, and using your imagination to fashion it into a story is a pure act of creativity that absolutely every person has access to, even if they don't think of themselves as a creative person.
What do you mean by storytelling?
Well, particularly, we always start with the personal story. So even if we're working with an organization, it's always about working with the individual to help them to, as we describe it, excavate their personal stories. And by personal stories, we mean something that's true and that has happened to you. Embedded in our stories are our values, our beliefs, our dreams, our desires. So tapping into this enormous reservoir of experiences can take us on all sorts of journeys.
So in that reservoir is a whole wealth of material to use. Everybody has creative material in their own story. And by exploring that, we can then explore how stories work. What is the nuts and bolts of impactful storytelling? How do you excavate, shape, and communicate a story in a way which is really relatable? And when it's relatable, it's memorable.
Hello, my name is Jane.
And I'm Dan.
And together we are the directors in London of an organisation called Narrativ. Now, Narrativ is dedicated to the power of listening and telling personal stories to create change in the world, wherever you are.
We work with a very broad range of organisations for a broad and deep range of applications.
Founder Murray, in fact, in this world of the creation of artificial intelligence, what he describes listening and personal storytelling as is advancing human intelligence. So there's that clear distinction between human intelligence and AI, for example.
And of course, young people, they need to understand technology. They need to be able to use and apply technology really powerfully. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be their key tool in the world. And they already have this very innate human skill with their listening and with their storytelling. And I think at this moment in time, there's this balancing between something which is very new, something which is very innovative in the world of technology, and bringing that together with something which is so innate that is part of how our brain is hardwired. It's part of how the brain functions, how we listen to and share stories. So to use another expression that we coin in our organization, storytelling is a soft skill with a hard outcome.
Wow.
So it's not just a nice to have, it's not just a fun thing to use between people. It's part of how our brain functions as a human being to connect with somebody else. Absolutely.
Is it possible to teach?
Absolutely. We teach one-to-one, we teach in small groups, we teach in large groups. So whatever your need is, we'll find the way that we can help and support and apply our work to that. The rules of storytelling apply to any form of communication. So when we teach you story structure, you might then say, well, that's amazing. I can use that to structure my presentation, my day retreat, my week course, my PhD. And we've actually worked with PhD students, and when we've talked to them about story structure, they've then said, I can apply this to my however 750,000 words or whatever their PhD is. So
Once you understand how stories work and what a story needs to grab the audience, to be vivid and exciting and colourful, it means that you can boil that story down to what is the quintessential image or the quintessential moment, which makes it ideal then for creating bite-sized stories, because you've understood how the story works and you know that element is the one that's most important.
one brilliant thing in that it is part of how our brain functions is that stories can be so economical in the way that they connect and communicate, because this up here is very sophisticated in the way it receives story. We can take a small amount and understand a lot from it. So if you're interested in thinking about leadership, if you're interested in thinking about diversity, change management, employee engagement, all of these are activities which require us to think about the essential dynamic between listening and storytelling. So if any of these things piques your interest and imagination, come and talk to us. We'd love to hear more about what you do.
Yeah, please do.